So, I decided to share my opinion on Twitter. I know I basically committed a war crime, with my opinion being that the hood pieces introduced for the Ninjago movie are the best hood pieces for Ninjago we've ever gotten, and to my surprise, and regret, the post got more than the usual one like, leading to the post receiving quite a few comments, either disagreeing or agreeing with what I said, giving me a lot of names to jot down on my hit list. All the comments made me wonder, what truly is the best Ninjago hood piece? So that led me to the decision of making a tier list, with the goal of ranking every Ninjago hood piece we've gotten. Our time on this planet is limited and I intend to spend it wisely. And before we get to the rankings, I might as well use this time to plug my Twitter they should totally follow. Actually, on second thought though, I say a lot of stupid things on there that I'm glad nobody sees. The plugging isn't over yet, as I might as well use this time to also plug the channel, as we're getting pretty close to 600 subscribers. I think it'd be pretty cool if we could reach that milestone before the end of the year, or at least before my court mandated therapy. Alright, with all that generic YouTuber stuff out of the way, let us take a quick look at all the hood pieces we'll be ranking today. As you can see, I'm only going to be ranking the hood pieces themselves, and not every single version of the hoods, or we would literally be here all day, or at least an extra 2 minutes. I was a bit conflicted on whether or not to include the Kendle helmet, as it's not really a hood, but in the end I decided to just throw it in for the heck of it. I mean, if we're counting this as a hood, then I might as well throw in the Kendle helmet too. Now without further ado, let us begin the rankings, starting off with the very first hood piece used for Ninjago, that unlike the other hood pieces on this list, wasn't created for Ninjago, but was originally made back in 1998 for the original LEGO Ninja theme. God knows that not a single new Ninjago fan knows that theme ever existed. This hood piece was used for the pilots and DX outfits, and is an absolute classic that looks just like what I would imagine a ninja hood wrap would be, including a small clip at the back of the hood to hold a weapon like a sword, and even a gun. Unfortunately, this hood piece doesn't work with any of the Ninjago armor pieces, due to the clip and not detail at the back, and you can't move the head at all with this piece on, but both of those details can somewhat be overlooked, as this piece was made in 1998 and is meant to be pretty simple. This hood piece totally deserves to be placed into the S tier. The next piece to be scrutinized will be the Kendle helmet, that was introduced in 2012 and was used just for the ninja wearing their Kendle armor in the spinners and some of the sets. This piece is of course very different from all the other hood pieces on this list, as this time it's a straight up helmet, and a pretty decent looking helmet. Unlike the previous piece we looked at, this helmet is able to be used with most Ninjago armor pieces, minus the ZX armor, due to the points at the helmet side. I really like the grill detail this helmet has, with it wrapping around the entire helmet, with the grill at the front allowing to see more of the wearer's face than a usual ninja hood. The part I don't like about this piece is the 2 points pointing upwards at the sides. I just feel like this helmet could have looked a little better without them. A good positive about this piece however is that unlike some of the hoods on this list, it's pretty easy to use outside of Ninjago. I'll put this piece into B tier. After the Kendle helmet, we have the ZX hood piece that was introduced in 2012, and is one of the most used out of any of the Ninjago hood pieces, with it being used for ZX, NRG, Elemental Robes, Zukin, and Erjitsu. Quite the resume. Just like the pilot's hood, this hood piece is an absolute classic, and once again a prime example of what a ninja hood wrap should look like, with a nice hooded shape and a little knot detail at the back. The crown at the top of the hood looks really good when printed with either gold or silver, and works pretty well in just a plain colour with a little bit of printing on top. The ZX hood piece will be placed into the S tier. Rebooted's half mask introduced in 2014 is next up, and of course is used for the rebooted suits along with the stone armor outfits, followed by the tournament robes, the legacy version of those same robes, the epic battle suits, and the island. This is certainly the smallest piece on the list, and thanks to it only covering the bottom half of the head, allows for the ninja's hair to breathe, which finally forced LEGO to give us an accurate hairpiece for Kai. No longer did we have to use this godforsaken hairpiece. With this piece being so small, it can work with every ninja armor piece we've gotten, and almost every ninja hairpiece, with Nia's original hair not quite being able to fit on, which is a shame. Overall, there's not that much to say about this piece, as it's really just a ZX hood, but with the top cut off. It does look quite cool with the ninja's hair being out, but also covering a portion of their face, but I think I'll always prefer a full hood. I'll place the half mask piece into the A tier. Next up, we have the hood piece introduced in the year 2015, used for the Deepstone outfits, the Blessed by God Skybound suits, Day of the Departed, and Hands of Time. This hood piece is pretty similar to the ZX hood, but this time without a crown at the top and a larger knot at the back, and a more rounded shape, with the ability to now be in 2 colours, which always looks really good. Just like the half mask, this hood piece is compatible with all Ninjago armor pieces, which definitely scores it some points, along with it being a perfect mold for a ninja hood. This hood will be going into the S tier. Following the 2015 hood, we have the 2-piece hood introduced in the Ninjago movie in 2017, being used for the movie, Sons of Garmadon, Spinjitzu Masters, God those suits are ugly, Hunted, and the Dragon Master outfits. From the intro to this video, you should already know that I believe that this is the perfect Ninjago hood piece we've ever gotten. Sue me. Actually, please don't, this is all I have. I've seen a lot of slander for this mask and I shall not allow it to continue. It is time for me to enlighten you all as to why this hood is the best Ninjago hood we've gotten and most likely will ever get. The main feature of this hood is that it is split into two pieces, which allows for you to actually customize it unlike every other ninja hood, with you being able to swap out the top half or the bottom half with whatever colour you want. This hood is also compatible with every single ninja armor piece, and thanks to being two pieces, it's also even compatible with the Dragon Hunter's armor and mask piece. Well, now it looks like they have a big forehead. Unlike all the other hood pieces on this list, this hood allows for a total rotation of the minifigure head, which is great because I am sick of the ninja only being able to look a little to the left and a little to the right, and the chance of them being struck by a car is down to 2%. In Ninjago City it's never 0%. The movie hood is definitely my favourite shape out of all the hoods. The two pieces create this tight feel for the mask and create this great rounded shape. The biggest problem I've heard everyone say about this hood is that it's somewhat annoying, that you have to remove the two pieces to gain access to the hood, and to me that's a pretty minor thing to complain about, as it's not that bad of a problem, and compared to another hood on this list it's nothing. It should be obvious that this one is going straight into the S tier, S for superior of course. Up next we've got the Legacy hood wrap that entered our hearts in 2019, being put to work for the Legacy outfits, Season 11, Core, and both versions of the ninja's crystallized suits. I really love the shape of this hood, with a somewhat crown design on the top wrap, and a large knot that goes all the way down past the figure's neck, along with the top part of the hood having this overlapping look that gives it a sharp edge. This hood piece reminds me a lot of the pilot's hood piece, both in the way of having a large knot at the back, and the fact that it can't really be used at most armor pieces, only being able to work with this armor piece also introduced in 2019. I'll place this hood into the A tier. Following the Legacy hood, we have another hood piece introduced in 2019, basically being a powered up version of the Legacy hood, being used for Forbidden Spinjitzu, Spinjitzu Slam, and Core Spinjitzu training. Since this is basically a powered up version of the previous mask, a few of the points still apply, with having a really good shape and also only being able to work with the same 2019 armor. Of course, the main feature of this hood is the large transparent flame design at the back, which is very cool looking, especially if you get the lighting right and really light up the transparent plastic. This hood piece will join the last in A tier. It's time to rise up gamers, as our next hood to rank is the Prime Empire hood piece, introduced in 2020 and used just for the Prime Empire wave. This hood piece has a nice sleek and quite sharp look to it, with a white visor-like design being moulded on top of a regular ninja mask, featuring a small screen for the ninja symbols at the top. Unfortunately, with this piece being so linked with the video game feel of Prime Empire, it's not very useful outside of the Prime Empire context. Taking this into account, I'll be cramming this mask into B tier. Still in the year 2020, our next hood is the one introduced for Master of the Mountain, and used just for that season. This hood piece combines a knight's helmet with a ninja hood, and does a pretty good job of doing so, with a nice sharp bottom grille and a sharp crown decorating the top. Just like the Prime Emperor hood piece, this knight inspired hood is very tied into its season setting, which again makes it hard to use outside of a knight context, unlike most of the previous ninja hoods. The Season 13 hood will join the Prime Emperor hood piece in B tier. We're almost there at the end, with our second to last hood piece being the one introduced in 2021, used exclusively in the Seabound wave. Just like the glorious movie hood, this mask is two pieces, and it does it horribly. If you thought the movie hood is annoying to remove, then get ready to remove a whole ass oxygen tank too. The top piece is pretty well sculpted, being a regular ninja mask with a pair of blue transparent goggles worn on top. I like the kinda futuristic vibe this part gives off. And then there's the second part, which deserves to rot in hell. The other half of this hood is a rubber oxygen tank that has to be inserted in between the torso and legs of a minifigure before being placed on top of the neck, and it is incredibly annoying to do every time. This piece doesn't even work properly, as the mouth in a ninja can still easily be seen, which looks terrible. I would have much preferred if the oxygen tank was a hard plastic that didn't need to be placed between the torso and legs for a belt that doesn't really need to be there. The suits look perfectly fine without it. The Seabound hood will be placed in the lowest C tier. This now leads us to our final hood piece to rank, being the Dragon Form headpiece created in 2022 for Season 15. This is such an awesome piece, being moulded in gold and transparent plastic. It really makes us feel like this is the highest form the ninja can achieve. Until the next season, of course. I love that the top half is like the face of a dragon, with there being some scale details at the top, and of course the transparent parts are a massive positive for this piece, creating an awesome effect if you get the lighting correct. This last piece will be placed into the S tier. And so with the Golden Dragon hood piece placed into the S tier, we finally finished ranking all of the ninja hood pieces. Was this a total waste of time? Absolutely.